Hello and bienvenue listeners. Welcome to Shine in Provence. I'm your host, Crudy, and you have arrived at the place where you get to hear me speak with those who have taken the leap to move to the south of France, whether for work, love, school, retirement, or sheer madness. I asked them frankly how they not only survive, but shine here in Provence. And guess what? It's all in English. Ne quittez pas.
It's Christmas time!
If you're living here in the south of France, I'm sure you can already taste Christmas in the air, no matter which part of Provence you're in. Since I'm sure you can buy or make different traditional French desserts and meals and all that, thanks to your friends, family, or our dearest Google, I instead wanted to taste what Christmas is like as a feeling, rather, for expats that are living here. So I found that Christmas is quite the sensitive topic to talk about, especially with opposing perspectives. I've spoken to two amazing women that are living right here in the south of France. For one of them, Christmas represents joy, love, as well as a privileged conflict of choosing with whom to spend Christmas and this very special bonding moment with. Whereas for another, it's actually a time of reflection and pain where loneliness has a seat at the table. So no matter which category that you relate with, or if perhaps you're in between, it's a significant period right here where we reflect on our years that have gone past and will come and celebrate its arrival in our own unique way. So I hope you can listen to my interviews with these two unique women, one in Nice and one in the Bouches-du-Rhône department, and let me know if you were surprised, inspired, or touched by their stories. Let's listen to Jess, or Jessica, a young British woman living in Saint-Rémy-de-Provence, a little town in between Avignon and Aix-en-Provence. She has also recently started an Instagram account called @Foodie in Provence, which is an incredible account with all the different foods that you can see around. And if you love food, I think you're going to love to follow her on Instagram. So take a peek. So hi, I'm English. So I was born in London, but I actually grew up in the north of England, which is where my mum's from. It's a town called Preston, which is in the northwest of England. But I'm also half Romanian because my dad's Romanian. Yeah, so now I'm living in France. So I'm an ESL teacher. I studied TESOL, which is teaching English to speakers of other languages at university. While I was at uni, I traveled quite a bit. So I went to Spain, Ecuador to teach English. And then once I finished my studies, I went to Australia and I taught English there too. And then after, I finally moved to France, and that was 8 years ago now. It passes so quickly. And so why did you move to France?
I moved to France for love, and I stayed in France for love too.
And if I can jump right to Christmas, because 'tis the season, and that's why we're here, to kind of talk about your experience as an expat in Provence during Christmas. And I've learned, you've said that you actually alternate Christmas now between the south of France and England. So how do you actually manage that? How do you decide that, okay, this year is going to be France and that year is England? And also, why do you alternate between the two?
Well, my boyfriend is French, so that means that his family are in France and my family is in the UK. So that's the reason why we alternate. So to spend one Christmas with one family and the next with the other. So this year, in fact, it's in France because last year we were in England. So that's why actually I am in England right now, because I'm seeing everybody before at Christmas time. So yeah, so when I'm in England, I celebrate it obviously with my mum and the rest of my family, my brother. I've got two nieces now, so yeah.
And now that you're alternating between the two, I guess, since what, it's been 8 years, right? So
hmm
how is it different? How is Christmas different for you in the UK and in France?
Well, it's the traditions, obviously. So, for example, in Provence, the 24th is more important. I feel, whereas in the UK, it's where we go out to listen to carol singers, and then we often go to the pub for a drink with our friends. It's not really family orientated, and it's not as important for us the 25th as the French are. So that's one thing. That's one of the things that are different. And then obviously you've got the typical traditions like crackers. You don't have crackers in France. Uh, we always have the turkey with the stuffing, cranberry sauce, etc. You've got the Queen's. Well, now it'll be the King's speech.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the food. Yeah, the food is completely different. I feel like in France, it's on the 24th. It's the foie gras, seafood. It's all about yeah, it's all about the fish on the 24th, and then yeah, they typically have a bird of some sort on the 25th, and then you have the 13 desserts.
Yeah, it's a lot of food.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of food, and it is. And in France, I feel that it's all about the food. And I love that because I've definitely become a foodie living in France. But yeah, it's all about the food. Like on the 24th, it's non-stop, and I can remember like there's been a few times that on the 25th you would just sit there from 12 o'clock and you wouldn't move from the table until like 6 o'clock in the evening. It's just like wow. And it's just the food's just coming out, the starter, the main, the dessert, the cheese, everything. Nice, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
You have a food coma after.
Yeah.
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 Whereas in England, we do eat, but I just don't feel like it's as much. It's not the same. And in France, it's also a very quick Christmas, I feel, because a lot of people work on the 24th. And obviously, it's their biggest celebration. So, like, everything's quite quick. So, everyone goes home, they get everything ready, then you celebrate. You have the 25th, but then everyone goes back to work on the 26th. And in
Hmm.
England, it's Boxing Day and it's still a bank holiday for us. So, it's very short.
So I
Mm.
guess it's like it's a lot of hype. You eat a lot, but then you have to go back to work, I guess, to burn off all those calories again.
Yeah, it's exactly like you say, it's all this hype, all these things for like a whole month, and then it's just over in one day.
Since you said you've been able to compare the two, you're obviously spending it with some French people because it's your boyfriend and the French families. Um, how do you think, though, as an expat, like as a foreigner? I don't know if they see you that way, if you've ever even felt have I guess that's my first question. First part is, have you felt that you kind of still are a foreigner in France, especially if you feel well integrated with your French boyfriend's family, perhaps? And then the second part would be, if so, how do you think that would affect you personally, positively or negatively, when in Provence during this very festive Christmas time?
I've never, I've always felt positive. I've never felt any negative vibes during Christmas time, and I've felt like the people that I've always spent Christmas with, they've always tried to integrate me as much as possible. I think, no, I don't feel like a foreigner at all. No, and I think they're actually very happy that there's someone else coming to the table, just because it's not the fact that like they say like, oh, you don't know anything. It's not that type of feeling. I feel that it's more they want to show, and they're proud of their traditions, so they'll go into detail, like they'll be cooking and then they'll tell me to come over and they'll say, look, this is how we do it, etc. And they'll explain all the different traditions, and maybe they'll actually do things that they don't usually do. For example, I've been to a midnight mass before that maybe they're not very religious, but they've done it just to show me, because it's something in Provence that a lot of people do. So yeah, no, I've never felt it's always been a nice feeling. I've never felt like an outsider or no, and I'm very lucky for that.
Yeah, definitely, because it's sounds like it's more about sharing their traditions with someone that they're happy to include in their kind of extended family. Um, are you also able to make perhaps local French friends and kind of celebrate with them?
Yeah, yeah, and it's the case actually this year. For example, we've made so I play badminton, and we've made a group of friends from badminton. So everybody's French. I'm the only foreigner actually, and we've all
Badminton in
decided
France?
to
What?
yeah,
What?
yeah, no, and it's actually quite popular.
Oh,
Yeah, and well, what I think that yeah, Christmas is all about family. It's the people that make it. But whether it's your family, your partner's family, the family that you've made where you are. So I've made a group of friends that I feel are like that. They're a family away from home, and so yeah, so we're celebrating again. So I've got another Christmas meal before actual Christmas time with these people. So yeah, and it's nice. It's nice to all get together. There's some Brits, so like again, we bring our traditions. We find crackers. We get some stuffing and bisto gravy, and all the typical things from England. So that's nice. So it's even if it's not actually on the 25th and it's not with our actual family, it's still a nice feeling. It's still festive and it's still a happy moment.
oh, that's so nice. I love that because I think when we move, no matter where, at least for me personally, I know like that's definitely what I'm always looking for is just sometimes it's nice to just have a small group of friends who you can just call whenever you want, when you're happy or when you're sad or whenever you're facing big challenges or when you just see something silly and you just want to share. And to be able to do that,
Yeah.
I think especially during Christmas is like, you've made it. Like it's that family. It's
Yeah.
just validating. Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously difficult when you come from such a small town, like when you not come from, but when you live in a small town, and especially in France, it depends because it's hard because they are very French people are very nice, but it depends. Sometimes they can be a little bit closed because for them they have their friends, etc., and they don't need to make new friends. Because I know that, for example, in England, if you worked in a company that a lot of things you do a lot of things outside of work, you go for after work drinks or you organize quite a few things. And in France, it depends the company, but there are a lot where they're like, okay, work's done, let's go home, and they don't mix business and pleasure,
Yeah,
shall we say.
for sure. For sure. I agree. Well, thank you so much, Jessica, for your time. And well, Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas to you too.
Up next, I speak with Janine Sosi, who lives in Vence, a little town near Nice, and is also the founder of the popular Facebook group Expat Women in France.
I am an Australian from Melbourne, and I moved to France 4 years ago at the end of this month. And I'm living on the Côte d'Azur in a little place or a little village called Vence, which is 20 minutes inland from Nice. And it's a fabulous location, and I love it. And I love the village. I love being able to see the sea, and having the mountains and trees around me. So I'm loving all of that. And I moved to France because I had a calling. Like since I was about 25, since the first time I came to France, I've just had a calling to come and live in France. Maybe it's a past life connection, probably. I don't know. But yeah,
Maybe.
it's my home here.
Ah, that's lovely. So, since then, I'm sure you've experienced Christmas. So, I'd like to know, first of all, just in general, how is it different here and in Australia for you?
Well, it's different for me because in Australia, my Christmas was always around family. And when I had a large house and a large table, I would have I think 14 or 16 people at my house, and I would do the full on traditional British Christmas lunch with everything, all of the extras, and I'd make pretty much everything from scratch. I'd even have the turkey deboned so that, it still had the legs and wings. Looked fabulous. So it was a big deal, and I love sharing Christmas with family. So one of the major differences is that I'm here alone, and so there's no family. I don't have I don't have any really close friends that have gone, like, oh, we'll spend Christmas together. So at this stage, I have no idea what I'm going to do for Christmas, who I'm going to do it with. Um, I could get a little emotional about that because I do like to celebrate it. And so, yeah, that's the difference, is having people who are close to me to celebrate it with.
And like you said, I mean, you grew up in Australia. It's your home, your childhood. You've got your family and friends. But being somewhere for 4 years, it may seem long, but in fact, it isn't, especially when you want to find a tribe, a group of friends that are like family. And that takes a while. So I can imagine that moving somewhere new, especially in France, and then having to like start all that for Christmas, it isn't easy. But just out of curiosity, the Christmas in Australia, was it cold or warm?
No, it was hot. So
It's
'cause
hot,
it's
right?
like
You've got a hot Christmas.
so, yeah. So one of the major differences is that I'm now celebrating cold Christmas and cold New Year's Eve, and I love a cold Christmas. It feels Christmassy. The New Year's Eve was much better when it was hot. So but
Yeah.
you're right. It does take time, and when you consider what the 4 years have been for me, that for the first 15 months. So my first Christmas here, I had my partner from Australia with me, and then he's gone back to Australia to live. And then the next two Christmases, we had COVID and lockdowns and, everything else. And whilst I did manage to go out and away for Christmas, I went to Italy last year to the Aosta Valley with a friend of mine. We weren't so good at going away together, we found, which is one of the challenges of going with someone who's
Another
who don't do
adventure.
that well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So then, from your point of view, having actually like lived through all these kind of different experiences and moving and Christmas, which is very like a poignant part of the year, I guess, and now and that. And also because you're a foreigner, right? You're an expat here. How would
Mhm.
you say now, with these experiences that you've had, how does being a foreigner affect you either positively or negatively when you're especially here in Provence during such a festive Christmas time?
The On the positive side, absolutely love France at Christmas, and I love the way it gets dark so early and it's misty, and the beautiful lights in all the villages. It's just like and the beautiful Christmas displays. I know Vence, has wonderful Christmas displays on various roundabouts, and the lights and everything are already up, ready to go on. So I love that celebration of Christmas here in France. Um, and I guess, the cons of it is really what I just said before about being alone, not having my own close circle, that I would share such a celebration with, because Christmas is very family oriented. Most people I know, like if they're Brits, they go back to Britain to spend Christmas with their family, or their family comes here. And, most people will go away for Christmas. And so even with close friends, there's like not many actually here to celebrate with anyway.
That's true. And especially like if your home is like in Australia, like that's
Yeah.
not a possibility. You can't even consider to go all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Not when it's 24 hours just flying time, and that's
Yeah.
going direct. That's going Nice, Dubai to Melbourne. So it's the most
Yeah.
direct flight you can get from here. and it's 24 hours from here to arriving in Melbourne.
Yeah, that's true. Because I think that there are so many other expats, not just British people, of course, but as well as from other nationalities. And it's not easy to always go back for Christmas, just for Christmas. And you really need to like check your schedule and see when it's possible. So I'm sure like with all the other expats out here, including yourself, would you also, like, since you're not able to find like other, let's say, close expats friends, have you ever somehow been exposed to, let's say, really a French Christmas kind of dinner, with local French people?
I want to go to a French family Christmas on well, that's Christmas Eve, what we call Christmas Eve, and then I've always celebrated Christmas lunch on Christmas Day, and I'd really like to do both. I'd love to go to the French one, but I haven't made enough French friends to. I'd have to work on trying to get invited into a French family, I think.
Or you just crash and be like, "Hi."
Hi.
Yeah.
Christmas.
It's like, who are you?
French Christmas, please.
Yeah. So then finally, what would an ideal Christmas in Provence look like for you?
Oh,
You
I
could
think that
snap
was
your
actually-
finger.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if I snap my finger, I would. My ideal would be to go to share it with a French family with French friends and their family. Having all the traditions of a French Christmas, the foie gras, they have so many different things, so many different
Yeah.
courses.
Yeah,
And
like they have
then
13 desserts just for the dessert section.
yes. Yeah, and that's after 13 courses,
Yeah.
So, and of course, definitely champagne. And then, probably not lunch, but, at least some sort of a celebratory, probably more in my tradition on Christmas Day itself with, again, I'm such a gourmet. I love really gourmet food and I love going all out. So I would want to do that as well, and have with just people that I'm close to, people whose company I really enjoy, and we just all enjoy, sit around, talk, laugh, have fun, maybe get drunk a little, or as my French friend says, get a little alcoolisé. Means you're not quite just alcoolisé.
Yeah. Well, I hope that sometime soon that you will be able to do that for sure, because I think one of the special times to spend in Provence, it would definitely be Christmas, just the way that you had put it earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'm going to set it as my intent. Maybe I'll set it as an intent for this year.
Yeah, New Year's resolution is to get invited to a French Christmas.
No. For this Christmas.
For this Christmas.
I'm making it my intention for Christmas.
Oh, good for you. I hope that it actually manifests itself.
Yes, I'll work on
it. Okay, well, thank you so much, Janine, for your time.
Thank you, Kriti. That was lots of fun. Really happy to share with you.
As you've heard, Provence is more than just a place for wine and dine. But hold up, it's still got all that and more. It's time for...
What's happening, Provence?
Find out what events are happening in and around your region. Since it's Christmas, the Christmas markets are really marvelous all around Provence. Whether you're in bigger cities such as Nice, Cannes, Aix-en-Provence, Marseille, and Avignon, or in smaller yet bustling towns such as Manos, Cavaillon, Orange, Vence, or Fuveau, each town has Christmas delights that are great for children, couples, tourists, and others. From hot wine, shopping tents, and skating rinks, there's something for everyone. So please support your local town's Christmas market, which you can find either through the Facebook page or their official website. And with that, thank you for listening with me. If you missed some parts of this episode and would like to hear it again, You can find this show and more interviews on the radio's website, as well as your favorite podcast channels, YouTube, and www.shineinprovence.com. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch me again, same time next month. À bientôt!